everyone. So this is going to be my presentation on mast cells, stabilizers, and the effect on food allergies. So this is an issue that I'm really passionate about, not just because food allergies are a topic that's kind of been slept on in a sense, meaning that there hasn't really been much research on food allergies in general, but overall, food allergies are something that has been or have impacted my life significantly, which is why I'm very interested in the whole like immunology as well as food allergy field. So before I sort of like get into what mast cells are, I know a bunch of people might be confused as to like, oh, what's she talking about? What are mast cells? So before you know mast cells, you have to kind of understand like what food allergies are and how mast cells sort of play a role in food allergies. So essentially, sorry, I'm gonna move this here. Okay, so this is some background information on food allergies. So essentially, basically the definition of food allergies or how I perceive it is a food allergy is an allergic reaction or a violent response to a substance that the body does not recognize. So specifically food allergies obviously are your body's response to a food substance that your body does not recognize. So it's essentially like your body's line of defense in a sense. It protects you from anything that the body perceives as foreign, which is very important as for your entire like physiological well-being. So food allergies can essentially occur if you have never been introduced to the food before, as well as when you haven't had the food in a very long time. Oh, okay, there we go. So here's some common food allergies. So there's cow's milk, egg, tree nuts, peanuts, shellfish, wheat, soy, and fish. So these are kind of like the 8 most common food allergens. I would tell you all of the things I'm allergic to, but we would be here well past 10 minutes if I told you that. So I'm actually allergic to a lot of these things. I think that this is very important to know because a lot of these types of things are in many ingredients of food. And as you can see, it's a very like widespread issue. It can affect a lot of people who actually have severe allergies to these types of things. So this is why I feel that food allergy research is very significant and there should definitely be like more research on food allergies in general. So now I'm just going to sort of get into like what mast cells are and how they overall play a role in food allergies. So this before you understand like what mast cells are and like how we can sort of prevent food allergies, you need to understand how an allergic response overall works. And the positive thing about that is that it's very similar to what we've already learned in chapter 11 on cell signaling pathways. So essentially an allergic response occurs through a cell signaling pathway. And I think if I move this again, I'm sorry about that. Oh, okay. So an allergic response occurs through a cell signaling pathway, and I think this diagram really nicely sums it up. So essentially you have a ligand, you have your transduction pathway, which overall causes a response. So in this case, your ligand would be the allergen. So if you read this over here, it says that the first time an allergy-prone person runs across an allergen, such as ragweed, it can bind to a B cell. And essentially what happens is that these things sort of release these IgE antibodies. And basically, when that happens, these IgE antibodies can attach themselves to mast cells, which causes a process called degranulation to occur. And I think a lot of us already know what that is. But the reason as to why this is detrimental is that when degranulation occurs, it can release these chemicals that are called histamines. And histamines are actually what cause a lot of the symptoms of allergies. For example, when histamines are released, they can cause the constriction of blood vessels, which I believe can cause low or high blood pressure. But yeah, essentially that's how the food allergen pathway occurs. Right now, a lot of the treatments sort of just consist of combating the effects of histamines. So like things such as like allergy medicines like Allegra, that sort of stuff, that's more of like the seasonal allergy aspect of it. But those sort of things, they combat the effects of histamines. There's nothing actually to stop this signaling pathway from occurring, which I think is really interesting because food allergies have been, it's not a new issue. And yet nobody has found anything that actually can like inhibit the pathway properly in an effective manner. So really all of these antihistamine medicines that we know of right now sort of just like combat the effects of histamines. Okay. So yeah, again, I'm going to just dive into like current research more. So currently, what researchers found so far is like preventing the side effects of allergies, basically what I just talked about. And there has been some kind of research that's been done on inhibiting the pathway, but like as I've said before, it's not really significant to the point where everyone can utilize it, which I'll just touch on in a second. And there's some research regarding like actually, I guess, altering the physiology of the mast cell in itself, which sort of makes sense, right? And the sort of research that's been going on are actually research done around mast cell stabilizers. So, what mast cell stabilizers are is essentially drugs that inhibit the cell signaling pathway. And basically, they inhibit the histamine release. And again, like histamines are the chemicals that are released that cause the side effects of food allergies. So they inhibit histamine release by stopping degranulation from occurring, which stops IgEs from accumulating, which is a good thing. So this is very similar to allosteric inhibitors. And if you think back to, I believe it was chapter 8, we learned about allosteric inhibitors, and mast cell stabilizers function in a very similar way to them. So we have all of these great things about mast cell stabilizers, and it's very great that people have already come up with like a way to inhibit the pathway. However, there are some cons to it. So obviously, like the pros are that yeah, some of them work. This is people have been treated with a type of drug that's called cromolyn, which is a type of mast cell stabilizer. It's actually been sold extensively, and it's been seen to treat those with food allergies. So that's a good thing. But unfortunately, the cons are the cost. So mast cell stabilizers, or at least cromolyn in general, it costs a lot, and it's not exactly guaranteed to work 100% of the time, which I guess is the case for every drug. But yeah, it could inhibit the wrong pathway, and things could go really wrong with that. So unfortunately, mast cell stabilizers are not necessarily available, and not everyone can access them very easily. So there needs to be like sort of like another method in which the pathway gets inhibited, which is sort of something where I'm interested in researching in. And then I know with the whole COVID-19 situation going on, a lot of people are interested with COVID research. And I know a lot of people in the biology club who are doing COVID research. So I thought I'd just add in a little bit of a snippet of what I found. I haven't actually gone into depth into this, but I think mast cell stabilizers can also have an effect on inhibiting the COVID-19 vaccine. I was going to say COVID-19 vaccine, the COVID-19 virus in some way. I think there's some kind of research going on regarding that. I'm not exactly sure as to how these people are going about doing this with mast cell stabilizers, but it's a very interesting thing. And if you guys would like, I can drop the link to that article later on in the chat. So yeah, thank you. I'd really like to thank the Biology Club for giving me this opportunity to present something that I'm very passionate about. And if you want to contact me about like any questions regarding my presentation, that's my email. I'm not a professional by any means, but I will try my best to answer your questions. So yeah, thank you.